We appreciate y'all coming tonight to Town Hall meeting. Now, this meeting is about you, okay? It's not about us, it's about you. So what I would like to ask of you, you don't have to come up to the podium. It's very informal. Just, state your name in case we don't know it. First name only is fine. And if you're bringing a concern, bring your resolution. What do you think we can do about it? Let us write these things down. Let's start talking about them and kicking that can around, okay? If you just want to make some general comments are welcomed as well. We'll write those down too and kick those around if we need to do something different with our general comments. So, floor is open. We'll just, do you have anything, Doug, before we get started?
No, ma'am. Ready when you are.
Okay. All right. Come on. Yep.
I'm concerned that we don't have a mayor pro tem, because I worry that in 4 weeks' time, lots could happen, and for whatever reason, the mayor might have to be gone, and we can't have meetings because we don't have second opinions. So I'm just concerned that we don't have that filled yet.
Okay, so with that, it is going to come on the 23rd, but at the same time, if you read the the charter, at any time they can elect somebody. If I wasn't here, they can do it.
Sooner the better.
We'll do it as soon as we get there. Now, the difference and I've looked at other cities, our charter doesn't say it has to be immediate. And I looked in the past, and there has been past times that it wasn't immediate. So I just felt we needed to wait, and we'll be on our next
Why do you
agenda.
need to wait?
Yeah. Well, there's some new people on here. I think it's a pretty big decision. I don't think it's a decision anybody wants to take lightly either. So.
That doesn't make sense.
We have 2 new
Thank
members
you.
and 3 sitting members. 2 of them have been a part of this council for a long time. I don't remember her name from this morning, but I tend to agree with her. I don't understand why it was even taken off the agenda. So, yeah, I'm curious to know what the answer to that question is.
We have it set for the 23rd. The agenda was done before I seen it, so it's set for the 23rd.
So in the meantime, could we have an emergency meeting at any given time if needed to be?
If need be.
Julie, would that suffice for you?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, you've got 3 council members that have been on the board. So you only have you and Michelle who are new. So that was my
Concern,
yeah. And I mean, I know things got added to the agenda later.
Yeah. It's not a likelihood that would happen, but if it did, we certainly could have an emergency meeting and it would be resolved.
Yeah, it just takes 3 of them to call one. Yes, sir.
Someone's going to take a few minutes because I'm kind of annoyed about this.
Okay.
2 council meetings ago, sat here, the last mayor sat where you are, and he told everybody sitting in this room that nothing further needs to go to the PZ board or the council. That a city manager can approve all these business changes. Since I've lived here before the hurricane, everything went to the PZ board that came here. Didn't matter if it was the grocery store going in, the liquor store going in, or whatever. Several months ago, I sat here, looked at everybody sitting on this council, well, not everybody, because some of you weren't there then, and had the mayor look me right in the face when I said, well, what's the deal with this bar going in down the street from where I live? I got the deer in the headlights, folks. I don't know a damn thing about it. Well, I want to know about it. How did this happen? How is that going? It's been under construction for 2 months. I live there in a low-density residential neighborhood. And I look at this and I say, you know what? This is a backroom damn deal, because if it wasn't, I guarantee there'd be a couple of hundred people up here bitching about it. Because this is a low-density residential neighborhood, and that place used to be nothing. It used to be a weekend where your office is, somebody lived there. There was a weekend estate sale. You had the post office, and you had a little outboard motor repair shop there. That was it. Now you got the market, you got the liquor store, and now you're going to have a bar. So what's going on with this, and how did it get approved in the back room without going to anybody? I want an answer from somebody.
Okay, I do
I
not
know
have an
you don't
answer
know,
for you.
but I
Because
want
I
an
have not
answer.
addressed that. I've been addressing many, many things this past week, but we have not addressed that. So,
Well, I want to address it right now.
Yeah, you
do
want me
you
to
know
talk?
anything about it? If you can give us some insight.
So, we did a significant use, similar use.
It ain't a
review.
similar use. There's never been a damn similar use like a bar there. It was a little outdoor motor store and something else. There was no similar use whatsoever.
Hey,
Correct.
Kim, I don't mind.
Okay, excuse me,
Yeah.
I'm just annoyed about this.
I
Because I
understand.
live right there, and there's a bunch of people around, and one person's already putting their house up for sale, and another one might. Because they don't want to be involved with having cars driving through Fifth Street, which is a residential neighborhood, at all hours of the night.
Do you want me to continue? Okay. So there was a similar use request that came in. It was reviewed by the third-party planning collaborative, just like the one on 41st Street was. The trips were deemed sufficient and similar. It may not be correct to some folks in their minds, but the similar use, the traffic was not increased. The use is allowed within a commercial.
Oh, please. Please let it finish.
Traffic would increase.
So, is this a done, approved deal? Because this is first I've known about it. I mean,
So-
you hear rumors, like I told you, you know.
Sure, no, I'll be glad to explain it. I just can't keep. Everybody has a chance to speak. So.
Yeah.
So it was deemed a similar use related to the commercial use. So the last council, the previous mayor, said that if it was a similar use, the city administrator could review it, and if it met the requirements from the third-party planner, then we could move forward with that. So the only thing that has been done, and construction for 2 weeks is not accurate. So they have not got a permit. There's nothing been turned in plan-wise for that building. All that's going to have to go under significant review by EPCI. They have to meet the wind load ratings. They've got a lot of hoops to jump through, engineering-wise, building-wise. They're not a bar. It's not getting ready to open tomorrow. So I agreed that it met the similar use because the planner said it did. I gave them a letter that said that they could pursue that restaurant in that facility. They could not change any of the walls. They couldn't add decks outside. They had to meet the parking requirements. They had to meet everything required based on our land development code before to move forward. And they have not turned anything into this point. So the rumor can stop at the fact that we have not received any permits. However, it's in a commercial use zone. A restaurant is allowed within a commercial use zone. Therefore, it met the requirements.
It is general commercially zoned and has not been changed.
Has not been changed.
Doug, is it within 1,000 feet of a church? I mean, I thought selling of alcohol was prohibited within 1,000 feet of a church.
They've met all the requirements to this point to date. All those things will be under review at that time. I understand your concern. We have not signed off on any COs for this new restaurant. Haven't signed off on any permits for them. So all that stuff they have to jump through every hoop, just like you said, that comes along with it. However, they don't have to go to P&Z and council because they meet the requirements of the land development code for general
I can
commercial.
be wrong about that, but I thought there was some rule that said that you could not have an establishment that, I don't know what it is.
To further add to what I've been saying, I talked to somebody who said they're using their permit for the building there, and I think there's been building going on for a while. Is
they
that
have, they're
true
gonna-
or is it not? I mean, somebody had to approve that. I mean, to me, you either get approval or you don't. You don't start doing something without approval. That's not even a gray area. You
Has
can't start
anybody been
without
in there
approval.
to
So I
check
mean, there's
that out?
something fishy going on with this whole scam thing here. And just 2 meetings ago was when the last mayor, I stood up here and I asked him, and he's the one that said the stuff that ain't going to PZ board anymore, and it's not coming to the council because he didn't want to hear 6 people who came out here to complain about that restaurant. He didn't want to hear that.
I can't speak to that, sir. I'm sorry. I apologize. They've met the requirements. The illegal building that's going on inside of there, they're allowed to tear walls out. They can't install new stuff. You understand that they have several different businesses inside of there. They can do tear out. If they put a wall up and it hasn't been inspected by the building official, then they're going to have to tear it out and show what electrical is behind it. They've been increasing their electrical use boxes between the places. They have to add water meters for everywhere they have a restroom. All those things are the rules that they're going to comply to. So just trust in the fact that it gets inspected.
I understand that. I've read the LDC, I'm on the planning and zoning board. I've read all the rules of that. I've read that book several times. And the more I read it, there's stuff in there that doesn't make sense, needs to be changed. Everybody knows that. The fact of the matter is, that should come to the PZ board, and it should come right here to this council and let the citizens speak. There's a bunch of people that live in that neighborhood. This is on Fifth Street. You don't think that traffic at 2 o'clock in the morning is going to be blasting down Fifth Street with motorcycles and trucks and everything else through a residential neighborhood? We ain't talking this is 98, where you can have condos and everything else. This is a whole different neighborhood. This needs to come here, and it's not similar to any business that has ever even been there in any way. I understand it's in there, it's listed. A bar can go where it's commercial, but it says right in there, if it's something different, you can approve it. And that should go back to, and that's what I'm asking right now, change that. That's ridiculous. Something like this is a major thing in a residential neighborhood.
Is that in our ordinances that the city administrator?
Yeah, the land development code allows the city administrator or designee to approve that if it's a similar use, and that's what we discussed. And they've got a report that says it's a similar use, so we go along with the same path we did on 41st Street.
So how do they determine similar use?
They have trips, they have trip,
Okay, if everybody can be quiet, yeah.
just like in the last one, they go through the trips, they go in through the hours of operation, they go through the noise ordinance, they go through anything associated with that and decide how similar it is. Now, the post office created a lot of trips. I mean, it might not have been the same trips as people come out for dinner, but those things are the same. So she supplied all that information, and we've moved forward for this process.
Okay.
It meets the rules and requirements.
No, I'm next. This brings up a very concerning issue. This is the second time in very recent weeks that we people have disagreed rather vehemently with the so-called third party's definition of similar, wait a minute, Jim, similar use. So I see a fundamental problem here because similar use is not what we see. And I think it is theory versus reality. You can't just judge something on number of trips, number of people, all that stuff. You have to look at the reality of where we are because we are so intertwined with commercial and residential. And there's a problem here. And I live in the neighborhood, not quite as close as some of these others, and I see a problem with it. There is no possible way that most people are going to say that's a similar use. Now, I'm the first one to say commercial is very valuable, but you got to look at what you're introducing in a completely surrounded residential neighborhood. So this is a problem.
Okay.
And y'all need to check on this.
Right. And a previous mayor didn't live there.
Now,
So it's not on his street, just like Mr. Baber. He doesn't live here. So it's not in his neighborhood, it's in my neighborhood. And you know what? The same people came before this council before, and they promised they were gonna get deliveries in the back because the address is still on 15th Street. That address for that commercial property is not on 5th Street, it's 15th Street. Everything that little guy that was here that was drunk, he said, everything he said was a lie. He did not do one single thing he said he would do.
And I don't remember the delivery things.
Yeah, the delivery.
We'll check on
Yeah.
that, I don't know.
No, we have an alternate plan for that, I can.
No, there's no alternate plan. The sheriff already told me it's illegal for those semis to park in the street there.
Yeah.
And they should be ticketed. And anybody that sees them should turn them in. And listen, they're so sure that they're gonna open this. Look in their garage, they have all their stainless steel equipment already in the garage waiting to go. By the way, the post office ones there never had 5 trucks a day. That's a lie.
The address has changed to 5th Street. I was notified to change my address 3 weeks ago.
That's correct.
So my address is 5th Street.
Who did it?
Bay County. They applied for Bay County.
Post office told me my address is now 5th Street, so it has changed.
So the other portion of that is about the deliveries. And with the other, one option was to go down the back, storage pubs, since they separated for them.
Can we, I don't want to go like you're not, your children, you're not your adults, I apologize. I apologize to y'all, so I just need to be able to hear him, if y'all don't mind for a minute, please.
So there was 2 alternates. One was to go behind the building with the trucks. That was not allowed when storage pubs split off from the new owners of that shopping center.
Okay,
So
so,
they came up with an alternate plan where they put down the crush and run, and you can see in the front of the shopping center where the trucks can come in and do lap around and head back down out 15th Street. So they're pushing the primarily amount of the trucks back to 15th Street to 386 or the other way. So they have created that turnaround in front. You've seen that. They've moved their parking. That was part of the plan from way
so the
back.
trucks do not no longer go.
Well, I can't say that they don't go down there because they haven't been trained properly on a new driver, but Mark and the people from the liquor store and all those places are trying to get their trucks to park up in that loading zone that they created in the front by 15th Street, that probably near where your office is. And they're staying up on that end, and they're not parking along those people's property that put the fence in. They're not parking on the street. They're doing a lot more of that, and they're
Okay.
continuing to train that. So that was the alternative.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go back because I believe in saying what I see and hear. When that was split off, when they came and asked for that to be separated from the pups or whatever, that they were gonna have the alley in the back. That was what the planning and zoning and the council agreed. And now it's changed. I didn't know about it. Of course, I wasn't in the seat but for a week now, so I didn't know about it. I can understand their frustrations with that. And, you know, and the frustration that, you know, they were gonna be in the back that promise made it easier for them to accept.
So the person that was making that promise was the manager of the building, not the owner of the property. You have to realize that. The person, Mark, that was getting up here did not own that property. That was saying, we'll try to get you to go behind the back. The owners of the property have security to keep track of behind that building and could not have unsecured trucks in and out of people have storage facilities. So that was how that turned out.
Doug, we had this guy here, what was his name?
Mark.
Mark, yeah, Mark. I remember when he came, and one of the questions I asked him, after we make this split, what are you gonna do? Are you planning on building anything? Is anything gonna go on with those buildings? He says, we have no plans as of yet. I said, okay, I said, so when you do, we're gonna see those plans. And he said, yes. But in the meantime, we made a change, and which made it the similar, something that's similar, commercial similar. Do we have that defined, what it is?
Yes.
What do you mean, the similar use or?
Defined.
Yes.
And a bar would be
Yes, sir.
similar.
Based on noise, traffic, not changing four walls of the building. They're not making any changes to the structure.
Okay, so that answers Lisa's question.
Yes, sir.
It does.
Excuse me, did similar use have anything to do with time of day?
Yeah.
Like the post office is daytime, the boil paint place is a daytime, people get their boat motors fixed in their daytime, not at night. It's not similar use.
It wasn't significant change.
You want to read the similar use?
I don't know if that's what he's gonna do.
So, I just want to clarify whatever he's talking about, because I pulled up the ordinance. It's in the Land Development Code, it's 2.02.05. It speaks to change of use or establishment of similar uses. It does state that the city administrator or his designee has the authority to determine if it's a similar use, and that's what I think Mr. Baber's explained that Carly and associates have done. What I want to point out, because this did come up in the P&Z, and there are, I think, 7 items that it compares that are considered similar use, and I'll read them to you if you don't mind. Trip generation rates, and that has to do with traffic. Typical hours of operation. Types of traffic associated with, such as trucks, delivery vehicles, automobiles, recreation vehicles, other vehicles. Features of use that generate noise, odor, electromagnetic interference, or vibration. Type and extent of parking, including whether parking areas are lighted, use of loudspeakers, use of outdoor storage. So those are the items that are supposed to be considered in similar use. My opinion, like many here, is I don't think a restaurant necessarily meets that. It doesn't mean, but here's what the other thing I want to point out. Just because something doesn't receive permission under similar use, it still can request, I believe, a development order to proceed in that process. So I would recommend that the council look at the similar use in the land development code ordinances and determine if that's something you still want in the city administrator. I don't know how often this happens. I would guess it's one of those things that they didn't consider needed to go to the council because you have enough items on your plate. But given the 2 times this has happened that I'm aware of it was recently, maybe it's something that should be considered at the council level in the P&Z. That would be my recommendation.
We do have a recommendation that we're going to be looking at, Michael and several planning will probably be looking at all of our ordinances, making sure they still fit everything we are now, including, our comp plan and our ordinance. So y'all just please give us time for those things. But in the meantime, we do need to resolve some of these issues that are coming up.
Let me add something to this whole scenario.
Yes, sir.
Councilman right here has his business right at the end. You were on the PZ board. When it came before the board, the guy at the end of the block with the blue tarp still on his house 5 years after the hurricane came here wanting to build a fence. Oh, we can't build a fence because the line of sight, blah, 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 blah. Just when I came up here today, there's a damn giant truck with a backhoe parked right there. You have to drive across the whole road to even see what's coming. That's constant. It's boats, it's everything is there blocking that road. But yet, he couldn't put a 6-foot fence up because you might not be able to see around the corner. That's a constant. You're there. Don't tell me it ain't. You're there. You know what goes on. There's 18-wheelers there. There's everything else. And if you restrict the 18-wheelers, nobody's restricting everybody else that comes in. All the lawn services, all the contractors, they come in with big trucks, with big trailers in the back, backhoes. Jerry, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen it. We talked about it. You were there. Just like when I showed you, hey, look at, there's plywood over windows, blue tarps, this and this, and you were like, I didn't even notice that. Is there ever going to be a stop to that? I mean, it's almost 5 years since the hurricane. Somebody needs to make a decision here and tell these people to clean their crap up. Enough is enough. But this here is a whole different scenario. It's the parking scenario that's going to happen. That street is already blocked. I can see this at 11 o'clock at night at a bar or restaurant, people blocking the whole road, sitting there, and something happening at night. This is a residential neighborhood. It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, this is my first meeting, I have to say. It's much
Please don't let us scare you off. This is really very informal and open.
It's much more interesting than TV.
Yes.
I live right on Summer House, I'm up on 98, and I expect, commercial around me. But I have to say, I have no personal interest in the situation we're talking about, but what attracted me to Mexico Beach, I've been visiting here for 30 years. I've lived here as a snowbird for 12 and here permanently almost 3 years, is the quality of life here. And I think it's not even so much whose neighborhood, who lives there, who doesn't. I think when it comes to Mexico Beach, you guys have a real special place here. And when we make decisions, I think we have to think of, it's my next door neighbor.
Yep.
And there's no way, you keep saying restaurant, but I heard it was a bar, now I could be wrong, 2 o'clock in the morning, 7 nights a week. That is a residential, that is not the same use. A restaurant usually closes at 9. A bar can go on, and look at the Lookout Lounge. Would you want the Lookout Lounge in a residential neighborhood? I'm sorry. I think it's very wrong, and please reconsider.
Thank you.
Just for the quality of Mexico Beach.
So where could we go with this?
This one has been approved. There's not that many places left in town where a similar situation could happen. This one has been approved. They are in the process of working on their building permit. Their building permit will be highly scrutinized because some of those buildings were pole barns that were enclosed. They have to go meet certain standards, so they will have to bring it up to code. And they're supposed to work on an existing building, so they can't tear it down and put something else up. So there's there's a lot of stuff over top of them that they have to meet. I mean, it's not gonna be super easy for them.
So what are their business hours? Because that was one of the similar use, and I agree with them, you know, most of the things in there were 5 o'clock type. You know,
Well,
or by
they
9
had, I mean, I guess
anyway.
they had till 11 o'clock, just like the other one was what they were listed for their hours. So I don't have it in front of me. I wasn't
Okay.
planning on
What if
talking
you
about
make
this.
their hours have to end at 9?
You can't do that. Our rules, I mean, it could go to 2 o'clock in the morning. There's the rules for alcohol related to that, but they also have to manage the noise ordinance, and they have to make sure that they're managing their traffic flows and things like that with the deputies that be involved in that. So that's part of it as well, but all that'll be scrutinized whenever I get some kind of plans for what they're gonna do. They've only given concept.
I have a question, or I don't have a question, I have a couple of things. I understand that you're frustrated, I do. When we bought our house, City Hall, and all of this, just this building was here. There was nothing in my backyard, so I understand.
They ain't here at 2 o'clock in the morning driving trucks and motorcycles
Well,
and everything else.
there is a good bit of traffic, but what I'm saying is, when I bought somewhere, there was nothing behind me, now there is. Unfortunately, like Miss Lisa said, there's nowhere in town that commercial is not gonna affect somebody residential. There's no way it can't. It's gonna affect you in a few months when Toucans finishes. I don't know if you own that place when Toucans was bumping, but at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, or whenever they shut it down, Toucans,
Actually,
you
the
can hear
bump
at my
put me
house.
to sleep.
You can hear the El Governor's music at my house.
Yeah,
And it's gonna be even worse now because we don't have trees.
yeah, that's true.
The thing that does bother me about something you said was the backroom deals. Naraj is not from anywhere around here. He ain't got a back door deal with nobody because he don't know nobody. And Tim and Harry, they're not from here either. As a matter of fact, when they first bought the place and the whole thing with the post office went on, there was a whole bunch of mess because they were outsiders trying to become part of our community. So we can't very well sit here now and say they're making backdoor deals. I don't think that's fair because then you're throwing accusations on former mayors and former council members and administrators and office people, and that's just not fair. It stinks that we are in such a small town and we don't have designated commercial that can affect anybody, but we are what we are. We can't just do away with commercial at all. We keep saying we want restaurants and we want stuff to come, but everybody that tries to come, we say no, 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 not in my backyard, not in my backyard, not in my backyard. But it's gotta go somewhere. And yeah, people are fixing to start coming here more because we're fixing to have more houses. We've got to have somewhere for these people to go. Because if we don't, we're gonna start losing more money to Port St. Joe and more money to Panama City. So we've got to have something here, but we can do it responsibly. I think saying no to everything is gonna wind up tanking us in the end. That's my opinion.
Julie, let me answer
Thank
the
you.
backroom deal. Wait a minute. Let me
Hey, can
answer
we-
the backroom deal. I gotta do that.
Can we do this? Can we not talk to each other? Y'all can talk afterwards outside to each other. Let's talk, let us and you guys as a group speak with each other.
My thing with the backroom deal wasn't a backroom deal, Mark, or anything else. I like Mark, I know Mark. Nothing
Yeah, he's
there.
just a man.
Nothing to here was the fact that everything came to the PZ board.
Right.
The liquor store, the grocery store, the restaurant, everything came to the PZ board, to the council. But all of a sudden, the bar thing was hidden in the back. Nobody knew a damn thing about it. I came here and asked that mayor, he looked me in the eyes and said, during the headlight look, he didn't know a thing about it. You know what I'm talking about, Jerry? And that was the answer. So something became that this happened without anybody knowing about it, but yet everything else went to everybody. This one project did not. So for a regular person sitting here, you would look at it and say, the reason it didn't, because you'd have 1,000 people here saying no. That's why that happened. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying backroom deal. It wasn't this and this. This was here that happened. And you're shaking your head. Yeah, believe me, you know what I'm talking about. And that's just wrong. And now, it's just wrong. It's totally wrong, this whole thing going on there, because You know, I looked at everything. I looked at all the building codes when I built my house. I made sure I had my 10 trees. I had this, I had that, everything else. Everything was 40% pervious, the whole 9 yards. I looked at everything around me. Oh yeah, there this is. I looked at the LVC. Similar use. I'm like, okay, similar use. I got a little boat place here that closes at 5 o'clock. I got a post office, and I got a weekend warrior who's selling stuff. Similar uses to me is similar uses. It's not something that's going to go 2 o'clock in the morning making noise. That's totally different than similar use. I mean, I don't know what your definition is. I think I'm an intelligent person, but that's not a similar use.
Okay.
Yeah. You know
I
that?
do want to, just give me a second.
Yeah.
I do want to say that I've inherited a lot.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay, let's start there.
you did. You did.
The second thing I do want to say is, you know, everybody at this table hears what you're saying.
Let me say
We don't
something
have
about
to keep
this, if I could.
repeating it.
Wait a minute.
We get it, okay? We get it. And let us look at things. Now, there's gonna be some things we cannot change. I can't change, he can't change, she can't change, we can't change some things. But we can look at things closer now. We can move forward in a direction, which we've talked about. I think all the citizens have been saying that we want to move in a different direction. But in order to do that, you got to give us time.
Sure.
It's going to take time. And I don't want y'all being here and being upset. That's not what this is about. I don't think this is what town halls were meant to be. It's meant to, yeah, I have a concern, here's my concern. Here's what I think would be the resolution for that. Or if I don't have a resolution for that, can you look at this? And I think that's fair. Okay, Tim?
The thing is when this happened before, originally,
Yes, sir.
when they came here and it was the buyer and the seller were here, and they both promised us that they would move all the deliveries to the rear.
Yes, sir.
Because they were gonna make that an easement. That's what they said.
Agreed. I
Exactly.
remember I heard that
Do you
too.
remember that?
We just.
You don't remember that? No, you
Tim,
don't. You have
Tim.
selective memories.
Can you not point, that's
I don't
very
want
rude.
him making any decisions.
That's
like
very
that.
rude. Please, let's try to be kind to one another. That's the
No.
only way we're gonna, the only way we're gonna change our culture here, guys, is for us to change it. And I don't want you upset. That's not what it's about again. And bless her heart, Miss Joy's been standing up there for a while. Go ahead,
Sorry, Joey.
So Doug, I'm confused. So it has not been approved, right?
The permits have not been approved, no ma'am, for construction.
So
But the
what
use
has been
has.
approved?
Pardon?
What has been approved?
A similar use was approved, so they have the opportunity now to turn in, to build a restaurant in the commercial lot. They have to go through the entire permit process.
So then, but that's not gonna come before P and Z or the council, right?
No ma'am.
So when you said the walls, electrical and all that, are they doing that now?
They're working with the meters on their building through Duke Energy to have changing around electrical. They have to follow the permits for that.
Without a permit?
That's not part of that permit.
What do you mean?
Electrical's inside. They work with Duke Energy to move meter boxes. They get permits for that.
I
through
thought
Duke
you
Energy.
had to have a permit
There's no permit for the
to have
construction.
electrical change.
There's no permit for inside construction of the building. Has been approved.
I can do anything inside of my house and I don't have to get no approval.
On
I can
the,
change electrical panels.
on the electrical, what they're doing is they're putting a meter on each unit. It used to be one master meter for the whole building, so it's exterior of the building. Duke is putting in separate meters.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
I'm getting a new meter, I just found out last week, I'm gonna have a power bill.
They got one bill and they
Well,
split it up
as an electrical
before.
contractor, we have to go through the permit before we can do that.
That Duke Energy has an inspection process through that they handle. So they're installing a meter on the outside of the building. The inside permitted work has not been applied for. I don't know that any permit work's been done at all inside of it.
I will tell y'all, I will go and look at this. Okay?
And the other thing you keep
Don't know
talking
what I
about
do,
is
but I
no
go work.
commercial now. Isn't there commercial already zoned for 2 of these developments?
Sure, but we gotta tell anybody who wants to put commercial there that we'll decide what the public wants that day.
Yeah, but the one, yeah, but.
I mean, that's a
You
problem.
said it was already approved, that so much commercial was going in each of these developments.
There is.
But that's phase 2 of this
That's-
down
yeah,
here.
the
That's
Sweetwater.
years down the road.
I got a question.
Yeah, and Rich wants Anything else, Joey?
I just
I'm
don't
sorry,
think
but I'm
that we
just
can
telling
have
you.
the excuse that we can take commercial and put it anywhere because, that's not fair to residents. I'm sorry, if we don't have the commercial, we don't have it.
And I agree,
We do have the commercial. This is a commercially zoned lot.
This is
yeah,
commercial.
yeah.
Yeah,
So Rich had asked us.
Yeah, I had a question. Similar use after listening to it. Can we question that similar use? You say restaurant, I hear bar. Can we question it?
A restaurant would not normally be open till 2 a.m. So that's a big difference in a restaurant and a bar.
Can the city go to them and say, hey, look?
They turned in conceptual plans for a restaurant. I mean, people are throwing this bar around. I mean, a restaurant like Mingo Marley's is a bar. It sells, similar use for that. It's a bar. And they're gonna have the opportunity, they have a license to sell liquor inside of there. They have to go through the process for that as well. So I don't know what they're
So
selling.
this is a separate unit, a separate building, a separate restaurant. They can't use the liquor license
Yes,
from
they
the
can.
different
Yes, they
address,
can,
can
because they
they?
have a package and a pour license.
Package and pour is part of that, but they haven't submitted any of that to us. I don't know if they're gonna get a 4 COP license or based on the number of seats, they're talking about 64 seats. They're not talking about 264 seats, they're talking about 64 seats. So the parking for that is adjusted based on 64 seats. They have to follow all those rules. Until we get something in writing from them, I don't have anything in writing on what they're gonna build.
Right.
Only conceptual, 64 seats.
64 seats could be 64 cars.
Yeah.
That-
out
That's
onto
correct.
Fifth Street.
I mean,
From the parking lot.
it could be, absolutely, it could be a 64
When
cars,
doing the sign,
absolutely.
they're gonna back
But
up.
they're required to have 16 spaces.
That's not our rules. Our rules say one car for 4 seats. So that's how those rules go.
We still have room with what they're supposed to, they're approved of. They're approved of.
What, Rich, we
similar.
can't hear you back here.
They're approved of a similar facility, and so I believe we have some room here as a city council. Doesn't mean we tell them to stop. They have approval
Yeah,
for
well,
similar use.
They need to stop
If
if
it's
it's.
beyond the similar
Seriously,
use, I think we
buildings.
question it.
Yeah, may I say something about this? Years ago, before Hurricane Michael, I was on the planning and zoning board with Alex, Adrian was there. The grocery store wanted to put in a liquor store. Remember that? And we went through weeks of looking at plans, and I had some major problems with that deal. But I don't understand how this has not come before the P&Z council. And I mean, similar use, the guy had a store. All he wanted to do was put up a wall and sell whiskey. Okay, I mean, it wasn't a new building, but we really went through, Adrian was there, went through quite a bit on that deal.
Yeah. And that was totally.
The council ruled a month ago that it didn't have to come to them. That's the rules that I follow, is what the council provided. All I can say.
Yeah, and like we did earlier today, y'all know, earlier today, we were able to bring, Adrian brought a bunch of motions to the table. We can do that.
Yep.
So,
Well,
Time will
here's
be-
my recommendation. I think that the council immediately needs to look at who has the power to decide similar use, because this is the second time that this is coming up, that the citizens are up in arms against it, and this power of giving it to the city administrator, whoever that might be, does not jive with what we used to do. And you need to immediately look at where that power lies. Anything that is of such a dissimilar use must come before P&Z and council. Y'all need to get on that. That's the recommendation.
amen.
This is the first, right? You said second, this is the first. The
This is
last
the-
one went through the council. And then we changed the rule at that meeting.
The split went through the council.
Well, the 41st
I'm
Street.
referring,
That went to P&Z.
my two were the restaurant at 41st.
Yeah, that one came through here.
That came through the
But
channels.
you still need to look at who holds the power to do this, because before, this was a council and P&Z power.
And Doug and I have talked, and we know where powers lie, and and it's the council, and we're gonna be looking at it, okay? We can't change anything in a day.
Let me say one more thing on this.
Can
Since
I
started
get you to
this-
wait for just 1 second, Ron,
Oh,
let Miss
I didn't know
Lindsay
she was
have
back
her
here.
turn?
I can't see
I know you
behind
can. Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna bring up something totally different.
Okay, good. Make me know.
My name is Lorraine Lindsay, and what I wanna know is what's happening on 15th Street, where we had piles of dirt, and now that dirt has been spread out. I don't see that there's a permit posted out there, and that property's not meeting what's in the mandate for our floodplain. And I will further say that the LDC also requires, before any development is done, that they have a permit, and there's still not a permit, and the dirt is still pouring into that ditch on 15th Street that we just paid people to clean out, and along the sides and the back. So I want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Do they have a permit?
Do you want me to
I'll
answer?
let you speak to that, sir.
So they went through land development review for P&Z and to council. Come to find out that they could not build on certain wetlands. They got a wetland evaluation redone. Since then, they have gone back to the drawing board for their buildings, reduce the height in them. I do agree, and I make them on a regular basis clean out the ditch along the side that we added that wasn't existing before behind those houses. We cleaned that out. Just recently after the rain, I asked them to update that again so the water continues to run. I allowed them to put that dirt there based on the LDC and amount that is allowed that we added to that property. When the property did not move fast, I asked them to spread it out because either the option was to put sod on it or grass seed so that it didn't erode, or they could level it. So they leveled it to 18 inches above the crown of the road, which is where you'll see the survey flags in the back. This plan has been re-engineered to have a lift station, I'm told, I haven't seen it yet, it has not come back yet. A lift station instead of a gravity-filled sewer line. Some of the things the council brought up they wanted them to change with the accesses and the heights of the buildings and the way they overlook some of the adjoining places. So they're supposed to be bringing back new plans. I just spoke to the engineer recently, Lance with SCE, and he says that he's fully redesigned it, the engineering site work, given it to his people that ordered, the owners of the property, and they're planning to bring it back to us for review again. So that's where that property stands.
And we had talked about that already.
The LDC also and floodplain say that you can only put 3 feet of fill underneath a building. And yet that property came forward with putting 3 feet of fill over the entire area, raising the entire thing and building a retaining wall to contain it.
They've since had to cut back that retaining wall. They're not going to have as much. They're not going to need as much fill. They may be removing some of that compensatory fill because they're going to do some piles on some of them instead. All that is supposed to be coming back to us. And again, I have not received the plans back. All I know is what I've been told. I expect that to go back through the full process with everybody because it's a complete redesign. So that would go back to P&Z through the council for re-review since I think they've actually added a unit. They added one more because of the amount of wetlands that has now been deemed not wetlands. So they had it reevaluated.
Was it deemed not wetlands because they filled it in?
No, because it was reevaluated before they filled it in. Remember, they had a big chunk missing in the middle, they had a big chunk in the back. That's why they had to have it piled up as high as they did. Once they got the evaluation redone on the low-quality wetlands, they decided that they weren't wetlands at all. That the gentleman that had done it before had made a mistake somehow. I don't know. So they got it reevaluated, and they were able to spread that dirt out on more of their property because the wetlands were not involved, which allowed them to make that down where you didn't see the large dirt piles. So as I stated, this will be coming back to P&Z for review. It'll also go through the floodplain review. Now we have our floodplain review people on staff. It'll go through an engineering, planning and zoning review. It'll come back through P&Z and council as a completely new project due to the massive amount of changes that they've made.
Stand up, Sue.
No, I just have, Doug, just a question to you. How long will it take for it to get back to the P&Z? I mean, sometimes we're looking at, and I don't know.
I've been waiting on those plans for, since Christmas time.
And what's holding it up?
It was money. They were deciding if they were going to continue with the project or not, if they were going to lose more money because they thought they were going to have less number of properties because of the amount of fill that they had to remove. And they ended up turning out with the wetland changes, so the money, I guess, worked out for them in the end. So they plan on resubmitting it. I was told the plans have been done for about 2 weeks. I'm told I'll get them anytime, very shortly is what I'm told. But it'll be on the agenda. Hopefully it gets to the June agenda. I've been pushing this hard because I'm responsible for the way that looks.
Right, and I understand that. I just think that, I would think that you would have a right to give them a time when it's spread out this long, that you could give them a deadline, but it has to be to people.
I think you did say something about
I did. I gave them.
either you had to move it or you had to.
They either had to remove that dirt or they had to do the redesign and get it back to us.
Then why haven't they moved the dirt?
They leveled the dirt out on the property to the level that they're allowed to have. So the 18 inches over the crown of the road. So if I follow up with them bi-weekly, so I can get a little more stringent, I understand where you're coming from.
Let me just close out the deal I started here with this whole conversation. Okay? Mark is a nice guy. I like Mark. When he built the liquor store down here, he just opened it and the hurricane came, wiped it out right here on 98. He moved it there. And to me, that was like, after the hurricane, that was the critical needs structure to have that.
I think I may be a critical needs structure after the hurricane.
Then they came up to the grocery store, and the plans for all that was, after the post office left and everything else, the grocery store was going to get really big all the way through there. It was going to be a grocery store just like we had here.
Right.
And the bar was going out here next to Forgotten Coast, but that didn't happen because of the parking. So things changed. But he's done a great job. I mean, I look at that building, it looks neat outside with everything he has, little stuff fixed up and everything. It looks kind of cool. I like it. But you know, I mean, like I said, everything that was there, it went away at 9 o'clock at night. And I could care less if there's a bar, restaurant there, if it closes like 9 o'clock at night. It's a residential neighborhood. And you know everybody's going to be driving down Fifth Street and everything else. And that's the whole concern. It isn't like we don't want anything, it's just like, it has to be regulated a little bit.
And most of us are older anyway, and so we.
Y'all need to sleep already anyway.
And the last thing I'm going to say today on here is this. You just talked about a deadline on moving dirt and this and this and this. Is there going to be a deadline on blue tarps and plywood over windows? I mean, come on. It's coming on 5 years. There's a thing on the LBC that says nuisance. You can make anything a nuisance, and come on. Enough is enough.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, you also need to remember, y'all, we have been very fortunate to get back to where we're at right now.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
On average, meaning sometimes it's more and sometimes it's less. On average, this type of hurricane takes 10 years to recover.
Yeah.
On average.
Yeah.
So feel thankful you've got what you've got. We're going to move in a different direction. We're going to do the best we can. We've got new people helping us. We're going to do the best we can. Please give us the opportunity. Okay? And you're going to be involved.
Oh yeah.
But please be kind. Yes, Tim?
I just don't want a repeat of history.
Okay.
You know, the original toucans, I mean, the guy was selling drugs out of there.
Okay. Yeah.
But let me say something.
We can't think that they're going to do that again because it's different owners.
But I know, but the mayor always told me, you need to mind your own business because you don't understand how much money they're making for us.
Can I tell you something?
When we get a business down here like the liquor store, the guy already came here once and lied to us what he was going to do, and he didn't do it. And now we're going to believe him that he's going to do this, right?
He's not the owner,
Okay.
he's the manager, he is not the owner anymore.
Okay.
Well, just look it up.
Hey, give me just.
Why would owner hire that?
I'm Cindy, I live on
Hey, Cindy.
38th Street. I just have an insignificant concern after listening to all this.
Well, you like that.
And it's an easy fix, I think. The storage area that's where the lumber is, where Castaways used to be.
Yes.
Can we like cover that up somehow, that
Okay.
tennis blind or something?
I can
'Cause
tell you
that's
something
very
right now.
ugly.
I spoke with our code enforcement lady today and told her to do her job for us, and she was so happy. She's gonna do her job for us.
Awesome.
So if we don't see anything, because that is in our code, that's supposed to be covered up, I think. Tell me.
It's surrounded by commercial on both sides. It doesn't have to have those black tarps on it.
Okay, well, we might need to look at the ordinances then a little closer and how they're worded.
It's very unattractive.
3 sides.
It says tourist.
It's residential on 3
I think
sides.
our zoning,
Yeah,
It's on top of
I
it.
agree.
keep looking
I'll
over there,
look
waiting for
into
that
it.
zoning map.
Okay. I have a question. Now that Toucans is supposedly in the process of rebuilding, are they going to operate off of the old lease that they had using city parking? Or is that lease going to be renegotiated because it was a 20-year lease for $1 a year? At the time that was done, I suggested they pay $1,000 a month to lease that parking lot, which is public beach parking. They can make that in one sitting, $1,000 each sitting, 12 sittings they can have that paid off. So I'd like to know if Toucans is trying to get that parking lot because they need the city's parking in order to meet their requirement for seats for their liquor license.
Do we know how many seats we're gonna have in there? They don't, well, if you've got the plans, I haven't received those
I
yet.
haven't, the final plan, official plans haven't come through.
Oh, they have not?
I don't know.
No
they-
permits?
Not only site work, we got a permit for site work to clear off all the code violation stuff that they had in the concrete down there.
Yeah.
They have not turned, they're supposed to have them at the end of this month turned in to move forward with the rest of the plans. I don't know how many seats. They have not come to me for negotiating any kind of contract with the lease parking.
Well,
That 20-year lease was signed in 2017,
Yeah,
right?
it's,
When the newest owners.
I'd say 17.
That was the only way they
This has
could get
changed
their loan.
ownership since that, would, hasn't it? No?
No, it's the new owners, they're still involved.
That's the only way
I
they could get
think
their
that
loan from the
lease is
bank.
good till 2037.
I think it's a
Change.
So they're still operating under that lease, then it needs to be renegotiated. Because $1 a year is not good enough for them to use use public parking.
So don't they have a parking lot across the street?
They do behind the,
Do you know how many parking spots that's gonna give them?
they haven't
I mean,
submitted
it's
anything there. I don't know if they've got the one across the street and behind the building. I'm waiting to see
If
their
it's one
plan.
for 4,
They added some
they
parking
may not
places
need any.
in front of the building, kind of like the Driftwood did.
Right,
The
right.
same builder is supposed to be building them, they built the Driftwood. I just don't have the plans yet.
So I have a question. I know that we talked about, or it had been talked about, to charge for public parking. How will that impact if we make that part pay parking?
That has nothing, we can't do paid parking
Oh.
on, DOT.
Okay.
You know, and then that would be their parking, that would be up to them, they would pay parking, I guess, if it's their property, I don't know.
Yeah, I can look into it just the same.
Yeah, I don't think that's,
So we can't do it on
that's
the
not in
wall?
our, that's not in our well house right now. The city parking is in our well house, and I don't foresee that at this point. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Yes, sir.
Two things. I believe, getting back to the 15th Street development, that's in a commercial, that development was in a commercial lot, is that correct? Correct.
I think so.
Okay, so they can build legally to commercial standards, meaning 48 feet high. Okay, that's always been a sticking point for me. I wish the city would consider, if you build residential in a commercial area, that you must stick to
I would think.
residential standards, setbacks, heights, and things like that.
Is
Right
that
now,
not the
they,
case?
Those are condos.
they can't do that. I mean, they're not doing that right. They're building to commercial standards and
I don't know the
residential.
actual height of the new construction. I don't know how tall it is, but it's gonna be,
The house would-
it's a condo association document, so that does open the door for them to get options.
But, I mean, as it stands, the rule says, if I own a commercial lot, I can build a house 48 feet tall, right? I don't think that should be, I think we should specify that if you build a residence, any residence, in commercial property, it should adhere to residential standards, meaning height, setbacks, all like that.
And I think that, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I think that when you do condos, that falls as a commercial property.
Well, I mean, if it's a residential, it can't. I mean, it's got to adhere to residential
Would it be
standards.
kind of like similar to Paradise Shores, right?
Yeah, it's condo association.
48 feet.
Now, wait, what does a condo association have to do with,
Not with the height, I'm not saying with the height, they have a little bit more leeway when they're doing the design of their structure, but the 48 feet would be in the commercial zone that they'd be allowed to build to. Medium roof height.
yeah, that's where, because you put a 48-foot
Could be a Holiday Inn with 3
building
stories.
over there, and it's gonna stick out like a sore thumb. You're gonna see, able to see it from that gate.
It's gonna sink.
You should not be able to do that. And my second thing, when is the city going to get on board with the ADA? I am sick and tired of everybody just about in this room has been in meetings, and I've been bringing this up for years and years and years. And you know what? As far as I know, there has been one business built since the hurricane in 2018 that is ADA compliant. One. Of all the businesses that have been, that law has been in effect for 32 years. That's federal law.
We have to follow ADA requirements. I mean, look at Bracewells and the ramp that they put in.
Where have you followed? What about the ex-mayor's hardware store? Let's show me the score sheet on that deal.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here for when that went down, but I can tell you that everything that we pushed through has ADA requirements. I mean, like, for example, Bracewells is the new building that's going in. That has an ADA accessible ramp right
But
in front.
it doesn't matter
handicap
how long
parking.
you've been here, Doug.
We have to have concrete
What
spots.
matters, it's been federal law for 32 years.
I can't speak to what happened before I got here.
The city should make an active
I agree.
stance to get with these business owners and say, guys, you know what? You're not up to, it's the city's responsibility. Now, if there's a violation, that's a federal Department of Justice issue. But when you issue a certificate of occupancy to a business, it is required the city has to ensure that those plans are ADA compliant.
Agreed.
But, okay, so you're.
The parks that we built, all the buildings that we've been constructing, they're all ADA compliant.
No, which one? Which is ADA compliant?
Sunset Park, the park down at the bathrooms and the parks at the, down
I'm not
at
talking
the boat
about
ramp.
city
Okay.
parks.
I'm talking about the city buildings is what I was saying. I mean,
Well, yeah, but you're responsible for commercial.
correct. And we go by the ADA standards. I mean, if you see a violation, you tell me and I'll be glad to look into it, absolutely.
Well,
You just told me about one, I'll look into that, but I need more
Just take
specifics.
everything as a violation except the Centennial Bank. How about that?
I can't do it like that, I'm sorry. I want to help.
And trust me, I'm an expert on the subject. I helped write that law.
I understand that.
So what were y'all
And
talking about? 'Cause
I'm
I was
just-
trying to
I
hear
was-
y'all and him.
Yeah, I was trying to, yeah, so we were talking about ADA.
Okay.
Because I have to
Bumping off
I have to
of
Well, I'm
retrofit.
just trying to make sure we can hear
You
what's going
probably
on.
should be able to hear it over the camera because it picks, I mean, the audio, it picks up really good. They even heard Linda.
Yeah, it picks up a lot of paper shuffling too. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard for those trying to listen on Facebook.
So, yes, ma'am.
I learned this from Rock. I hope you're not going to ignore me
Don't blame it on
again.
me.
I hope you're not gonna, you're probably just gonna ignore me again, that's Rock's usual. I don't think it's in the best interest of this, the residents of Mexico Beach to allow a street to be built through Parker Park as an entrance to a housing plan.
You do?
And that's on it's on our radar. We had a discussion already. Don't know where that's gonna go until it comes back to us. There's a lot more, just, my learning, 1 week, guys. And not even technically 1 week, it's just been since Friday. Feels like 1 week, actually feels like 1 month.
What are you waiting for?
Not getting much sleep, I'll tell you that. Yeah, and I'm getting old and I've lost my train of thought. But we're working on some things. It's a lot deeper than it looks from that side, I'll tell you. I've been on that side, I've been advocating for us. I'm still advocating for us, okay? You're being heard. Doug's heard me, Michael's heard me, Tammy's heard. We're working on it. So you've not brought up anything here tonight that has not been talked about already or mentioned other than maybe the Fifth Street thing. That wasn't on my radar right away, so.
I have another question. I know we've got some money for drainage. When is any of that going to start?
Okay, well, they are actually already started. Okay. And I have talked with Doug about that already as well. So, and at our meeting this morning, we were looking at the second phase of that will help with. So it's a lot to that as well.
I'm on the south side at 38, so,
Yeah.
you know, all of our drainage got completely destroyed, and there's been a lot of discussion about what was there and what wasn't there, but we did not flood before, and now that, after the hurricane and after the paving and all of that, and I know we've had a lot of conversations about, and I appreciate that. I'm just looking for my unit not to be flooded again from a small storm.
Do you know what, into the stormwater stuff that we talk about?
This is not related
This
to
not-
Florida Avenue or any of those.
Right, I know, so it's more like.
There's some disconnect on some pipe that was over on that side of the street. We have sucked them out with a vac truck, but that's not the solution. The solution is the HOA has decided to, just like we would do anywhere else in the city, if they pay for the pipe, our staff will install it, run proper transit on it so that it runs to the drainage pipes, and that has been approved by the HOA. We have a gentleman out on FMLA right now. When he comes back, I think we're scheduled mid-May to start on that project to help them with their drainage in front of their building along 98.
So that's
But-
separate from the big project?
Correct, there's nothing on the
There's
south
nothing
side of
on the south
98
side
on
right
there.
now,
Okay, thanks.
other than, what he's just mentioned. So, I see a hand in the back. Let me grab that one first, guys.
I would like to respond to what Mr. Masters said. Doug, you did send the inspector last week to the W Motel, and he was ADA in compliance.
I had a request to make sure his parking was correct. I knew it was, but I asked the building department to go by and ensure that so that I could tell the person that it was not, and they are up to code. Anytime I get a complaint,
Did
that's
you
what we
have-
try to do.
Yeah, in the pink.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, dear. I didn't realize you were standing up. Sorry.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And my name's Rose Young. I live at Summer House as well. And my fiance is on the Turtle Patrol. And we were just wondering when those little signs are going to go back up for no pets. Seeing a lot of people with pets on the beach. And we think the 3-mile stretch of Mexico Beach is no pets, correct?
Yes.
It
It's
is.
for us.
Supposed to be.
As fast as I put them up, somebody throws it in the woods. I hate to say it like that. But we put one up at every entrance this past 2 weeks, and people take them, and I don't know where they go. But the ones that are the biggest problem are all the way down at Gulf County line. We keep adding them back, and we keep making them more supported in there until they can't be there.
Okay. Well,
The sergeants back in the back, I know that we had a couple that we caught up for this past weekend.
And now that the election's over, pets on the beach will be the biggest drama on Facebook. So.
God, I hope so.
I have had a suggestion, and y'all can, just kick this can around. I've had a suggestion of there's people saying, I want to volunteer to do something to help our community now. I really want to volunteer. Maybe we have them walking the beach saying, no doggies, and we have them walk the beach, no holes, no bottles.
It's not very well received.
Yeah.
The dog people get angry.
So I don't have the answers to that. We've got great people, and I think in the summer, I know that our fire department people run up and down the beaches. Our police department does, our sheriff's department does, and I think they do a good job and are a great job, and we just have to know that it's a hard job too, because my husband asked me, he said, well, if I'm walking, and he walks all the time, if I'm walking, am I supposed to say something to him about dogs? I said, no, you don't say nothing about the dogs. You can call me, I'll say something about the dogs, because I'll be saying it to that man back there. So, but we'll be fine. We'll be watching. Yes, hang on. I think you were in the back. Who, I don't know who was first, I just got cross-eyed there.
So I want to bring up a new subject. I want to talk about stormwater. In 2015, to my knowledge, was the last major stormwater study. I'm not advocating a new study just to have a new study, but it's been quite a while since that was done. We have the effects of the hurricane on the entire stormwater system. I don't know, I do know some of the things that are in the works for stormwater. I don't know if everybody knows here and if the citizens know of the things that are being done or looked at. But what I don't think there is, to my knowledge, is really a comprehensive plan of looking at this in long term. And I say that because it's not just Mexico Beach. Our watershed extends outside the city and impacts the stormwater system. So this is probably bigger than the P&Z, but I would hope at some point the P&Z gets to be involved in this. But and part of that goes to the wetlands. And so it's been a big issue here with a lot of folks about the loss of wetlands. My concern for the wetlands loss has more to do with stormwater and storm surge. There's some habitat issues, but that's it. I know we're in Florida. I've only been here a couple of years, but it's pretty much wetlands. But I don't know that we as a city really have done a comprehensive plan of this. And if you look at the comp plan, it classifies wetlands as sensitive areas, and it talks about the protections they're supposed to be given and preservation. Now, I don't know how you balance that against private property rights and how you can work to that. But I think if we don't get ahead of this, we're not going to have the ability to use what wetlands we have left to aid in our stormwater and storm surge problems. And I just bring this up. There are grants available to purchase property. It's a very difficult process, a long process. But we need to identify what is our plan, and I think that goes back to the 2015 stormwater study and the new analysis, a long-term plan for this. And my recommendation is take a look at that and come up with a plan how you're going to proceed for the next 5, 10, 15 years.
And we have actually talked how we're going to move a plan forward, trying to figure out what to do for the next. And again, citizens will be involved, and Michael's already started.
Let's take that off the shelf and dust it off. We never did anything with it. I mean, we have it, but.
I agree. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hello. In the time that I was asked to vacate my home with my family of 8, because I was still in an RV and still in active litigation with my insurance company, I've seen several new businesses, I'll call them businesses, coming into town, and they're really food trailers. They're barely even trucks, they're trailers. I don't understand the disconnect between asking a citizen who's, a salaried federal worker who's trying to raise a family, who's not independently wealthy, who relies on his insurance company. Now I'm relying on FIGA to take over, so I'm dealing with another state agency, to be asked to leave, who is otherwise paying his taxes and staying out of trouble, to be asked to leave with his family of 6, family of 8, 6 kids, here's the wife. And while food trucks or food trailers are coming into town, I would like the city to take a look at that ordinance for the RVs, knowing that there are some of us out there who are putting in 40 hours a day working for the man, who are not independently wealthy. We don't have either the skills or the money to back us up to get us back into our homes, because we're waiting our insurance to do what they're supposed to do. We have active litigation still happening. So I would love the city to take a look at that, because I know it might be an unpopular opinion, but it's, like I said, in my little 8-person world, it's very popular that companies should not have come in with food trailers while citizens who are still trying to rebuild, who were here before the storm, were asked to leave in their RVs. So I'd like the council at some point to take that up and into consideration to, help its citizens out, especially those that are trying to, bring tax and raise a family here.
And I want to tag on to that. There are a lot of RVs. Every day that I have to come and pick up my mail, there are a lot of RVs that are supposedly following code because people live in their house, but they are hooked up. And I have the photos. So this is a pretty sore topic for us. To see code enforcement, not enforcement with other people. We're kicked out, and now we're seeing new food trailers. It's like spitting in our eye.
Hey, can I say something? I personally think they should have been allowed to stay, but the thing with the food trailers too, I had a question. You know, some of them don't have water to it. And I always thought in any food processing, you had to have a three-bay sink and a hand sink. And they don't have portage on or anything. I mean, some do, but a lot of them don't. I don't see how that passes. I don't
Do we
see how that
have
passes the health law.
ordinances for these food trucks? I have not even looked at it.
Well, we're not allowed to govern, the state of Florida does the food truck ordinance related to where you can
We
put a food
have,
truck.
we have, from my understanding, you tell me if I'm wrong, from my understanding, we as a city have the right to say where they can be. But, and I would think that the state would have laws that said, if you are a food truck, you have to have these bare essentials. I mean, how are they doing dishes, or how are they washing their hands, or how they?
They can be self-contained. They can be self-contained. They don't have to hook up to water. They can be self-contained with water tanks. I mean, they're governed by the health department, state of Florida, not us.
And we can't ban them.
No.
No,
We have to provide space for them.
Right.
We can say they have to be on commercial property, which is what we do.
Correct.
They can't be on a residential lot. But we have an administrative ordinance of things that they have to provide for us to review them, to make sure that they have a lease for the property or own the property. You know, they have to have their license, food handlers permits. They have to have all that stuff. And then they're governed by the state of Florida after that. I mean, if we see a problem, we can report it. Code enforcement has a problem with, or police or fire have a problem with ingress and egress, we handle that. Other than that, that's the extent for a food trailer. Now, if there's an RV that's hooked up in town and somebody sees it, I have one code officer. I have one code officer. If you see one in town, tell me, and we go to deal with that immediately. They're allowed to hook up with their slides out with the electric, but they cannot have water to it or the sewer. That doesn't. One code officer can't catch them at night sleeping in it. If they are, the deputies look for that. I don't know how much farther I can go with that.
Natalie Albaugh, 209 Virginia Drive. First off, this is daytime, not just night. And you can see water hooked up to RVs. That's number one. Number two, I've heard people say that it either looks trashy. What's the difference? If you live in your house and you have an RV right there, what's the difference from someone who's actively remodeling their house from this Cat 5 storm? Holy moly, you brought it up. 10 years. I have family in Galveston and Houston. There are people 15 years later who are still struggling. Now, I won't be able to handle that. I mean, but I have to say, the other thing that was brought up was that people were worried about what if another storm comes through. Now, this could be debris. What's the difference with the food trucks, which I'm going to call trailers, because most of them are. People aren't moving them. They're not moving around. What's the difference? I'm seeing bias, and I'm offended by this bias. RVs that are hooked up to water. We had the sheriff show up while we're waiting to be towed because they thought we were going to stay on our property. Waiting to be towed. Code enforcement. The city workers to cut our lines. Waiting for a tow, and the sheriff is showing up. Our kids are traumatized by a storm, and now they're traumatized by this. And every time we drive through to pick up our mail, they're like, why is this family in this house able to have your RV hooked up? Mom, Dad, why are these food trucks here now? Why can't we stay while we're fixing our home? There's clear bias going on. And it's not right.
Have it on the list. We'll talk about it and bring it to council. If we need
Put
to.
it in the top of the list.
I don't know.
That one needs to go to the top of the list.
Yes, yeah.
Agreed.
Is there like an emergency motion or something that can help them? I mean, if the house is actively being, why they have to move? I don't understand how a city can allow that to happen.
Doesn't make sense.
There's a whole bunch that went on behind the scenes here with the trailers. There's way more to this story than what you're hearing and what went on with the trailers.
And
A lot of people that didn't
appreciate
live
that,
here
but
did
I'm
a whole
talking about the
bunch.
here and now. I understand that the reasoning, they want contractors living in them, this and that. Cool, I'm with that, cool. I ain't a contractor, I'm a citizen. I have a permit right now at the building department. I'm waiting on supply, I'm waiting on this, I'm waiting on FIDA to give me money. So I'm not a contractor abusing something. I'm not someone who purchased after the storm abusing it.
Not cutting into city lines like some people have.
I've done it. Heck, even while we were renting away from here because we didn't afford an RV at the time. I was still paying my power bill, my water bill, and my utility bill because I wanted our city to have the money. So I get all of that. I'm talking about the me right now, a family. I'm not talking about contractors. We ran them out. Cool. Help me. That's what I'm asking. Help my family, help my kids. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all coming and talking.
You state your name.
Huh?
Can you give his name?
Oh, John Alba, 200 Virginia Drive. Tyndall Air Force Base Anti-Terrorism Officer. Hi, how you
See
doing?
what the house looked like 3 years after the freaking storm.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Now that I beat Doug to death with everything I said and everybody up here, I have to say this. It's been like 3 or 4 city managers since I've been here, since Doug got here. A lot has been accomplished. I don't agree with him all the time, but he's done a whole bunch of really good stuff. You look at Sunset Park, you look at the boat ramp, you look at everything down there, the fish cleaning station, the pavilion, down at the end of the dock. I mean, the little things.
Yeah.
I call him and say, hey, all these people are walking over the sand dunes down next to 2 pounds where the parking lot is. Can you do something for the fence up? Put the fence up. Just a picket fence. That stopped everything. So, I mean, he has done more since he's been here than everybody before him the last 3. And like I said, I don't agree with everything, so I'm not beating him to death. He's done a whole bunch of good stuff, and I want to say that.
He
And a
probably
lot of-
doesn't sleep very well at
everybody up
night
here,
either.
and the people that aren't here anymore, they've done a whole bunch of good since the hurricane.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I want to leave it as, that I'm not beating you to
This- I was
death.
gonna say,
You've done a lot, I'm
this-
just bitching about the things that I want to bitch about. So that's.
We got it, Rob. So Doug, sleep tonight.
A long day.
Yeah, it's been a long day.
And Rock will be here tomorrow doing it again, so.
He's got my number.
All right. How are y'all feeling right now?
What do we do about these people? What, is it because of the ordinance that we have, because of the time? Is that why they were kicked off? Is that the
That's my
plan? Is that the?
understanding. There was a.
It was a drop dead date that it had to be off the property. The council at the time voted that happened, I think it was October 31st. And then we extended it 15 days for them to allow time to make movements to remove the trailer if they wanted. But that was it. It was administrative policy that was created, approved in the ordinance by the council.
So, is there not a way to have something in place if we can actively see, it's not just them dragging their feet and don't want to do it, but this guy's in litigation. We were in litigation for 2 years. If you don't have the means, and I feel bad for them 6 kids. I would go crazy in an RV. I would probably be in an insane asylum if I had to be with 8 people in one RV. They ain't an RV big enough for me and 6 kids.
So right outside in the playground, if you're on meet
No, all mine are in their 20s. No, I'm not going back.
They're good kids, Julie, they're 20.
Yeah, they all are, but they're so cute.
somebody's abusing it, or I get it, and maybe it's something we can do a case-by-case evaluation or something. But, I mean, somebody that's truly trying to get back into our city and working hard, that bothers me. And I mean, I get it. Do I want this to turn into RVC? No, I do not. But I do feel bad for their position, and I mean, I don't feel like I'm being a good neighbor as much as I run my mouth about other stuff if I don't stand up and say, I don't think that us just saying there's nothing is a right. You better hush, I'll come over there. Catch me outside.
So Doug, let me just ask, and I've thought about this, and it's been more than just today. It's been more than just this week. Is there a way to put in an ordinance, and I'm sure there is, could we put in an ordinance that we could look at case-by-case basis with evidence?
Did we do that?
We discussed that last time.
Did we? It never did it.
It was a 2-reading ordinance that said they had to be gone, and
Give them a timeline.
Gave you discretion for a period of time.
Right, and there was no extension allowed in that. I let 15 days because of the water and sewer and making arrangements to move it, but there was no extension past November 15th. And you know, we try to catch everyone that comes in. We do have RV parks in town. I mean, at that time, we were charging a person for their own property $250 to deter other ones from coming in. And I don't have a better answer for you. We have to just talk to Clint. I don't know the legal side of that. If you repealed the ordinance and created a new ordinance and allowed it to go further on a case-by-case basis, that sets you guys up for discrimination charges, and I can't speak to all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's why I said with evidence. I mean, if you have solid evidence, I would think legally you would be okay. But at the same time, I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
You know, we can put it on a future agenda if you guys decide that's what you want. I mean, we of course can't do anything tonight,
Right.
because it's a workshop, but if that's something you guys feel strongly in the next meeting, you can talk about it and give me some direction. If that's what you want.
There's other stories. I mean, there were some other guys that came.
There was several people that would probably lose their minds if we let some people come and some other people didn't. So, I mean, there were so many people that were, 6 or 7 people that were also had to go elsewhere.
But I think the biggest frustration is there are others still attached, and there are commercial businesses still operating in temporary trailers.
And I don't it's their property, right? Their house is sitting on their property.
Constitution.
So I'm sorry.
I didn't kick them off the property. We said they couldn't live in a trailer on their property. That's all we did. We didn't kick them off their property.
Aren't you brought some exception to that?
This went on for years. This went on for years. This was a discussion for years. And what happened was, and I don't know who's behind me who doesn't live here full time, but the problem was the people who don't live here full time brought trailers in. They parked them, they got wiped out on the other side of 98. They weren't going to rebuild, they couldn't rebuild, but they brought trailers in.
Yeah.
All these people brought trailers in that don't live here. This was brought up, and it was brought up by me several times. Full-time residents should have been allowed to live in an RV that lived here that had nowhere else to live. They said they couldn't do it because that would discriminate against the people who don't live here. And it was turned into hell. They tried giving exemptions, permits, and everything else, and people took advantage of it. And finally, after 4.5 years, they did away with it. Right now, we're at the 4 years, the insurance is done. I mean, unless you're in a lawsuit
I
or
agree
something.
with Adrian. I think it's the perception, and perception means a lot sometimes. The perception that you still see campers hooked up. You're still seeing, you know, you're having the food trucks come in, which are, you know, if it's cause they're ugly, they don't look good, it's whatever, then that's not a good excuse.
I lived in my RV for a year. I had to drive to East Point every day. I couldn't live at my house. I had to live at East Point, driving back and forth 50 miles each way every day. I lived in it for a year till I get back to my house. That's just part of how it is. I mean, after so many years, something has to, I mean,
for this case individually, we work to try to help with get a TCO, or they get, because they're a remodel, they're not a reconstruction. The building department offered solutions, and it just kind of fizzled out. I don't have anything further, so.
Okay.
let's say, it
I
fizzles
agree.
out.
Yeah.
It's that if we're in litigation, there's no fizzle, there's no schlitz, there's no money. It's the remodel permit is still good. Money makes the world go round, dude, and now we make so much of it, and it all goes to them. So I'm waiting on FIGA. You wait for a state agency to move. So I do take issue, sir, with saying that it fizzled. It did not fizzle.
I'm talking about the opportunity to build a department we're trying to help.
We hit a man-made brick wall with this ordinance. Ordinances were made by men and women, and they could be remade. And that's what we're asking that you guys do. And I thank you, Ross, for speaking up like that. Sounds like on our behalf. Citizens should come first. Citizens who were directly impacted by the storm, who ran for their lives or whatever.
Who traveled 4 hours to get down here.
See, we already
Every day for the first 2 weeks, we were allowed. The first 2 weeks, we were allowed.
Believe me, I know, every
4
day
hours
here, went through the
here,
same thing.
4 hours later.
Please
And
talk
so
to
you
each
should
other, talk
understand.
to us, please.
But I want to suggest something then, because hearing some of the people speak on our behalf, would you consider creating an ordinance specifically for people who are suffering from a natural disaster? What if a tornado hits someone and they need to stay in their RV on their property while they're dealing with insurance? What if another hurricane happens? There's got to be a way. There were fires before Hurricane Michael that were caused by,
At East Point,
yeah. What if that happens to us? Every time there's a fire near us, we're like, oh my gosh, is our house going to go down before we've even finished it? What about creating an ordinance specifically for people in the city who are suffering from a natural disaster so that they can at least be at their house to try and do something, and they're not forced out?
That's why I'm married, folks.
It's an incredible hardship that I would never want anyone else to go through. You're paying your mortgage. You're still paying flood insurance. I'm in the next flood zone. And we still got it. I was mocked for having flood insurance. Mocked. And then Hurricane Michael happened. And they still underpaid us, but at least we had something. We still pay our homeowners wind and everything insurance. We're paying our utilities to Mexico Beach. And on all of this, we're now paying to be in an RV park. I don't want anyone else to go through this.
And, like you said, and we're listening, we're taking notes. I think everybody's on the same page here. I have seen in other places where they have hardship clauses in certain things.
Yeah.
And you definitely have a hardship, and we're definitely hearing you, okay? Now, what we can do as a council, we'll have to get together as a council, we'll have to put something on our agenda, we'll have to talk about it. That's where we're at right now.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
Since before the hurricane, I had bitched about a travel trailer sitting on the corner of 5th and Georgia. It's been hooked up there for years. It's an old beat up piece of crap. I was in the trailer business for 30 years. I used to sell them in 1973. And you know what? That particular house also uses a little concrete shed for sleeping. They have 15 cars in the yard of that 700 square foot house on many occasions.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm done with them. Just because they come from the same town as Georgia as somebody else, I don't want to know about that. But you got to take into consideration this is legitimate.
Yes, sir.
That is not.
Yes, sir.
So maybe some of us can get online, because we all spent a lot of time online during the election, and everybody was researching things. Surely, as many towns have been hit by hurricanes, surely there's some other town that has done something to remedy this, you said bring a recommendation. There's got to be something somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree totally that there has to be something with you. And again, we'll have to talk to our attorney. He does our ordinances. We'll have to look at, I mean, I'm sure he's dealt with this before, something similar, or knows somebody who has, because they got good networking with their attorney. So we'll take this and we'll bring it back to the table, see what the council can do after we talk with the attorney.
Well, you should, but it should be for full-time residents only. Mexico Beach is different. I was in Miami, Hurricane Andrew. 99% of the places down there, you can't even have a trailer.
Yeah.
They didn't allow trailers. You were on your own. Have a good day. Sleep in a tent, whatever.
Yeah.
Mexico Beach is different. Half, 3/4 of this place is vacation homes or rentals.
Yeah.
It should only be for full-time people who have to have a place to live while they're rebuilding. It shouldn't matter if you live in Dothan or Bainbridge or wherever, you have a house.
Right. And I want to say, too, that they're not the only ones that I've heard from that has, you know, was building and had a trailer and was told they had to pay $250 or, you know, move in their trailer. You know, I too think like, I mean, I'm a resident, I too think like, well, why would I want to pay $250 for my own property? So I think we need to look at ordinances. We need to see if they're logical.
Well,
Are
that's
they?
gonna get sticky, because there
Yeah.
are people that claim Mexico Beach as their residency that aren't in Mexico Beach.
But if they're residents and they have a home here, then they don't need to.
I mean, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of people. I mean, I'm gone during hunting season a lot, because I go to Georgia during the winter, because there's not as much to do here. But there are a lot of people that claim this for different reasons, but they live in Alabama, Georgia, other places in Florida. So that's gonna get sticky, full-time residents.
Well, I would think that it would have to be an ordinance that's written very specifically,
Whether
so,
they claim homestead or not, I guess is a quick question.
right.
Well, you can still,
Right, there's a lot of people that do
yeah, I was gonna
homestead.
say, people
I mean,
that own
but you know,
numerous
But
properties.
it's still until
How
they
many-
rebuild, not
Right.
just because they.
I was gonna say, how many people are actually still rebuilding from the
Exactly. I got
start?
one in
Really
my
very
backyard.
few. How
I
many?
got one in my backyard.
No, there's a bunch of them that are rebuilding after the storm. Thing is, they don't live here. That's why you got blue tarps and plywood over windows, because they don't live here. They
Well,
don't care.
You know, we've got ordinance for that,
And hello, is anybody ever going to enforce them?
well,
She's just.
I gave my blessing. What more can I do?
But she's just one lady, and Miss Kathy does work hard. She falls in that whole category of people who work hard for the city. I mean, she might not can catch everything, but she's one person.
Okay. So, and it was brought to the table today for me that we need to look at some possible, you know, help. Hopefully that not come from internal sources. So, but we'll be looking at that. Our budget's coming up too. So, we've got a lot of work to do, don't we? Okay. You're being heard. Doug has been wonderful. I want to tell y'all, he has been very professional. He's been very upfront and honest with me, and if I hadn't asked, there's things he's brought to my attention that I'm like, I didn't know. Y'all brought some things to my attention, I didn't know. Been here a week. Alright. Anything else tonight? I really appreciate y'all coming. I really appreciate hearing you. There is one thing I would like to bring up because I haven't heard it, or maybe I did hear it. I think I heard it this morning. Meetings. Tell me how y'all feel about meetings.
Nighttime.
Please be known. What at 9 o'clock?
Okay, how about this? I don't want inconsistency because then people say, oh, well, is this the Tuesday we have it at night, or is this the Tuesday we have it at whatever? I want consistency. When I make my schedule at work, because my schedule is very flexible, when I make it at work, I try to make consistency because I'm not like this morning. I changed my hours to be able to be here till 6:30, start my job, and I usually start at 7, and I slept right through that till 7. thank God nobody needed me in that 30 minutes, but at the same time, I like consistency. So I don't know how we want to set it up, but I do know that we want consistency, I would say.
I want to say something about the meetings. I have been pushing for nighttime meetings and pre-agenda workshops, which are totally different from town hall meetings, for a long time. But I want to go on record, and if this is, I don't know if this is being taken by anybody, but I want to go on record by saying, if we change to the nighttime meetings, which everybody seems to want, then it is everybody's responsibility to get their butts to the meeting. You don't get to excuse yourself because, oh, it makes my blood pressure go up.
I've heard that one.
I'm sorry, y'all. I've been attending these meetings for over 20 years, and I've managed to keep my blood pressure under control. So, it's a great thing to change it. I'm all for changing it back to what we had for so long. That worked. But make very sure, if we change it, you get yourselves to the meetings, because it is everybody's responsibility.
Okay, I'm going to throw something at, oh, go ahead.
Well, I knew this was coming, so I counted this morning. There were 4 more people this morning than there are tonight. So I lean more on the one of each and consistency in the second one in the morning, 4th one at night, or vice versa, because people work nights. I have to change my entire schedule for night meetings, which I can do, but I'm not the only one. And if we have to hear ordinances twice, why not give everybody an opportunity to speak, 1 in the morning, 1 at night? That's all I want to add.
You know, I brought that up at a council meeting before about trying 1 at night, 1 in the daytime, like we have now. Have the 1 at night, and do it for, say, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, and see how it works out. If people aren't coming at night, then do away with it. Go back, whatever you fix everybody's schedule. I mean, we had that one at 1 o'clock after the hurricane. That was in the middle of the day. That was terrible. That was terrible. I mean, 9 o'clock was great. At least it gives you part of the day. But yeah, there's people who work, live here full time. So it should be 1 and 1. And give it a think. 3 months, 4 months, whatever. See how it works out.
And just not 2 meetings in one day. Because I feel sorry for
this is-
y'all, because y'all have had to do that, y'all can't get up. Go to the bathroom or wherever we want to go. Y'all have been at this table for, about 4 hours today. That's a long time. And I mean, I know his schedule is like my schedule and some of the other ones, and they can't do what they need to do. So I think 2 meetings in one day is a lot.
Well, I do think our crowd is slightly younger this evening than it was this morning. Slightly. I think some people go to bed by this time.
So let's just talk about this, and we're not voting on anything. We're just discussing this, getting your input, and then we'll bring it to the table in a meeting and discuss it. Oh, yes, ma'am. Sorry.
I just want to say, it seemed to work really well at night before the storm. I never heard any complaints. If there were, I personally never heard it. My understanding was that it moved to daytime because after the storm, we had no electricity. We had nothing. And some of us were driving 4 hours back to where, I mean, we were going. 4 hours here, 4 hours back. That was our day. It made sense during the day. My plea would be, if you're not going to do it at night consistently every week, you need to have some at night. Because people who are teaching and people who are working day jobs can't be here. We can't.
And then with the daytime ones, have an opportunity for people who are watching on Facebook or Zoom or whatever we're going to do. I mean, we do telecoms in the Air Force all the time, and we have the ability to raise hands. Like my kids go to online school, they raise their hand, their teacher calls on them. Have that ability for interface and input from people who can't physically be here, who are watching, so that, you know, they can still have a say.
Yeah. And you have people who want to be involved. But I'll tell you, at least for the 2 of us, we can't be involved when it's in the day.
Yeah. Again, that's just my thing. I prefer consistent. I'm actually taking completely off Tuesdays, so it doesn't matter whether it's day or night to me. because like I said, my schedule's very fluid, and I just decided Tuesday's gonna be my day, taking care of city business, Fridays, Tuesdays, and after 2 o'clock on, or 1 o'clock here on the rest of the days. So, I'm very versatile. It's about you guys now.
Well, it worked for more than 30 years to have nighttime meetings. We didn't have problems with it.
So-
And most of those meetings were extremely well attended.
Yeah. So, okay, if you'll show me, I know this is like school, if you show me a hands, nighttime only,
Or a one-on-one.
okay, now down one and one.
That works too.
And let's ask this question at the next day meeting.
Yeah.
You know you had a hand behind it.
We could do one, I think,
I think it's.
one and one and,
If we're gonna
We'll
talk
try.
transparency and want to engage the most number of citizens as possible, we need to give alternate times.
yeah. So we'll try the one-to-one, see
I don't
how that
remember
works.
his name. What did you say your name was?
Natalie and
Mine?
Your husband.
John.
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 I do like what he said, because sometimes people can't be here. Now, do you need to say everything that's popping up on that screen? No. But if somebody has a legit question or something, whether, bless Tammy's heart, it probably can't be Tammy, but if there's somebody that can sit there and say, hey, Rock has a question about what you just said. I mean, I think that that's a way that they can be heard. We've spent this money doing this,
Yeah.
so.
have y'all seen, like, remember when the pandemic was happening and they
Yeah.
would do things on TV where people were actually meeting Zoom and they'd have all their little, it was like Hollywood Squares up there. You know, we could actually let them be on camera.
Well, this is free though.
What's that?
Facebook Live
Yeah.
is free.
Yeah. Well, I think it has those.
But I'm saying like Zoom and stuff you have to pay for, so
No,
that's.
it's free.
Oh, is it? Okay.
We're only up to 50
Thirty.
minutes with less than 50
Yeah.
people. It's
Oh,
really
we're in
restricted.
trouble then.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay for it.
But we spend a lot of money on this, we spend a lot of money on these TVs.
Yeah.
Now,
just have
it's only
somebody else
$400
monitor.
to
Yeah.
buy actual Zoom.
We can look into it, Doug.
Sure.
I mean, and
No,
we can,
We would bring this would be a resolution that has to be brought back.
it would have to be,
So we'll have an item on the agenda to discuss it further
yeah.
for the options. The 2017
up-
ordinance was 9 a.m. on the second Tuesday and 6 p.m. on the fourth Tuesday. So
So before the hurricane.
that was before the hurricane. Then they didn't go by ordinance after that. They voted at the council meeting, voted. So my recommendation would be a new ordinance. Resolution going forward. So we can discuss that at the next meeting, agenda that item.
We'll do that.
Now, it does need to be consistent. If the second one's the morning one, it needs to be the second one every time. Now, you know. Sorry.
Yeah, that's consistent enough.
On the,
Yeah, okay. I'm just like, we can't switch it up.
And we'll try it for a while, and if we start seeing there's nobody coming in the mornings, and we need to do it at night only, then we can swap it to night only. It's twice a month. Everybody here, I think, can adjust their schedules for 2 nights a month.
and on the Zoom, how would you control?
Well, you can actually mute everybody, and then you can give them permission to actually take their,
And then how do you pick and choose? So I'm gonna let it speak now.
well,
There's hand raised.
there's hand raised options.
No, I mean, does the council pick and choose who's going to?
I would
So I do have to give you a
do
laugh.
just like we are here.
I don't know if you've ever been in a hijack Zoom meeting before, but I have with the city of Apalachicola, and it was a disaster.
I know.
And you're not going to be able to prevent that here because a public notice meeting is going to publicize the password of the code. So you got to be careful because I have watched some very inappropriate videos and heard some terrible language in a hijack Zoom meeting as the mayor panicked to try and shut it off.
I can't even.
There's
It was bad.
there's more secured.
Yeah.
There's more secured types of rooms that you can get, because my university has those, and they're very secure. Nobody can hijack it. So, I mean,
I just think
we'll have
somebody's
to,
gonna get really angry because you asked him to speak, but you didn't ask him to speak.
and that might not be an option. It may just have to, we may just have to have Julie over there answering things. Or, you know, we could just say, you put, well, Doug does a good job at this, I've noticed, over, he'll go back and he'll answer questions. Just put your questions in there, and then somebody from the council or the city will get back to you with an answer. I think that's probably a good, safe way to do it, because you do get some people that's, you probably don't want to answer them, you probably don't even want to talk to them. But
don't get overcomplicated here. I mean,
yeah, I know.
We have it published, we know what's coming up, you have a thing on there, you can put in questions 2 hours before. I mean, you can read it, you can do that. I mean, the way this is going, that could turn into a nightmare, and then you're gonna have to hire a media specialist. So you're gonna have to have other people. I mean, I leave it like it is, and hey, and you can have questions, and the city can come back and answer them anytime. Just like you guys sitting here.
Exactly. So I think that's probably our best option, is just to tell people that are on, just say, first off, right off, if you're watching on live, please just keep your questions kind and consistent, and have them really be questions in there, and they will get answered. Because I have heard people like, well, you put your question in there and they don't ever answer you. Well, that wasn't always true, because I'd go back and I see Doug had answered it. So, and then some people like to get on there and rant and rave, and that's not the place to do that.
Just answer the questions like they did
Exactly.
on the,
Ask a question like y'all did and get an answer.
just like the ethics training. You can answer the questions, and between breaks, somebody would answer you.
Yeah.
The downside of interactive
I'm sorry.
downside of interactive TV will be encouraging people to stay on.
Yeah.
If a lot of people know it is on Facebook and live.
Yeah.
If you can put out the agenda on Facebook several days ahead of the
Don't we do
meeting,
that?
if
Yeah, I think so.
if they have an item they're interested in, they show up and talk about it. Or if you just go Facebook only, they can have written comments as the meeting progresses.
But they won't get
And
answered
if they're
till later.
appropriate, you can address them. If they're just a comment, let it ride.
Yeah, I've been in meetings where, at the end of the meeting or during the meeting, they'll stop and they'll say, okay, well, we didn't have a comment in here.
Our church goes on Facebook, ever since Hurricane Michael, and our attendance has never recovered the in-person attendance. We have lots of hits on Facebook, but the faces in the seat, butts in the pews are very limited, not near what it used to be.
So we're in agreement. We'll bring this to the table. The council will, we'll go for an ordinance or a resolution, and we'll make a decision and vote on it. It's a process we have to go through, but I do appreciate the attendance tonight and this morning, and standing room only pretty much this morning. And anything else?
We know why everybody showed up this morning. This was the first one.
Yeah, it was fun. I think we did a good job. We had a good conversations. So, anybody else before we wrap it up? You're done?
We're done.
Doug, hey Doug, they ain't beating up on you no more. They done. Ain't beating up on you.